Hallo Leute, kurz zurück von Genshin Impact mit Kavehs Auftrag bzw. Hangout und auch womöglich der letzten Folge jetzt, aber nicht so wie letzte Folge, da haben wir nur das vierte Ending hinbekommen und was für nur, aber wir haben es hinbekommen mit dem vierten Ending letztes Mal und jetzt sind wir hier und werden das fünfte Ending anstreben und hoffentlich auch in dieser Folge abschließen. Also hier ist die Abspaltung. Warum schaust du dich nicht nach einem lukrativen Beruf an? Das ist, nachdem wir halt eben den Kopf viel frei machen.
Different career. I see. That's not a bad idea. I think I've heard a saying somewhere before. 80% of a working adult's woes are due to not having enough mora in the bank.
Das klingt
It's
ein
just
bisschen
a
zu
saying,
real.
of course, but even I will admit that my life would be a lot better if I could make additional mora. And if I want to make mora, I should finish that ridiculous commission. But I really can't find it in me to go back and talk to him right now. Hold on. I just remembered that I used to have a senior classmate by the name of Alkami. If memory serves me right, he's no longer taking private commissions, but he's still doing pretty well for himself. Maybe I'll be able to get some advice from him. Yeah, I should get on this right away. No more wine for me today. I'll grab the bill and be on my way.
Okay, das heißt, wir werden mit einem alten Kommilitonin, ne, oh mein Gott, in Kontakt kommen und mit dem rausfinden, wie man das kann angehen. Ich mal sagen, ob nach Port Ormus. Dann machen wir uns mit Hilfe von Koniko schnellstmöglich dahin. So. Ui. Nein! Nein! Oh Gott. Zweimal den gleichen Fehler. So. Okay, da hinten ist er. Hallo. Alkami.
Ah, Kaveh, it's you! It's been a while. What have you been up to recently?
Yeah, it's been a long time, Alkami. Things haven't changed much for me. I'm still taking private commissions for all kinds of projects.
I heard that you were the genius behind the Palace of Alcazazare. I bet you're all set for Mora after a project of that size.
Gegenteil.
Well, it's hard to make a profit from every project, you know?
Hard to make a profit? You've got to be joking. I've never met an architect who didn't make a profit from a project. Unless the client fled before they paid the commission fee in full. But that doesn't sound right either. Doesn't Dory have a pretty decent reputation in our local business circles? I don't think she's ever been involved in any kind of big scandal.
Well, about that. I mean, it was complicated.
Okay.
I understand. Either way, doing one project after another sure gets exhausting over the years, huh? I've been there, so I can feel your pain. I mean, I obviously never had your reputation to live up to. That must have been stressful. But I'm sure we've faced all the same problems. Trying to keep your client in a good mood while you're trying to stop them from micromanaging things they don't know the first thing about. I don't miss it. Thankfully, that's all behind me now.
Bist du in einer anderen Branche tätig?
Not exactly. My work is still closely related to architecture. Judging from the look on your face, you're still strapped for Mora. That's quite unfortunate. You're the most artistically gifted graduate the Kasharawar Darshan has seen in decades. But it looks like you still have a lot to learn in terms of making Mora. With that said, us Kasharawar grads should still look out for each other. What if I told you about an idea that'll absolve you of all your moral troubles going forward?
Ist jetzt dubios
Are you
irgendwas.
serious? But something like that has got to be some kind
Ich
of
hoffe, ich habe das richtig
top-level business
angewendet.
secret.
Erstmal, wo ich das
Are you sure you can just share something like that with me? Besides, I don't want to just take something like that without offering anything in return. I still have a little mora. Or is there something that I can help you with?
Oh, you're too kind. This is just a simple tip. Even if I didn't bring it up, I'm sure you'd hear it from the others sooner or later. The idea is this. I recently opened up a training center
Okay.
with the goal of educating people in architecture design.
Okay.
Compared to the classes taught by those old fossils at the academia, my classes are more condensed and streamlined and will allow people to quickly get their foot in the door.
Okay.
Unlike the academia, I won't turn down anyone who's interested, rich or poor. As long as someone wishes to learn more about architecture, I'll accept them into my training center.
Okay, also einfach nur der
It
Interesse nach,
just
nicht
so
der
happens
Interesse
that I'm
der
still looking for a few more
Summe nach.
instructors. So, what do you say? Interested in coming over to give a few lectures? Regardless of the pay, I can already guarantee that it'll be far more comfortable than working on random people's private commissions.
Okay.
Ah, so you want me to join you as an instructor? That does sound like something I'd be able to do. It sounds like a pretty stable job, too.
Klar,
What do
klingt
you
so.
think, Traveler?
Du kannst es mal ausprobieren.
Then it's a deal.
Yes, it's a deal. Thank you, Alkami.
Like I said, there's no need to thank me for this. The lecture room is not far from here, so you can just come straight here tomorrow morning.
Okay.
As for the pay, how about we start at 300,000 mora per lecture?
300,000? Are you serious? How could you offer so much?
Ja, ich würde sagen, das ist ein bisschen viel.
It would seem that you're still oblivious to your own economic worth. 300,000 is nothing compared to the prestige of having the Light of Kasharawar as one of my instructors.
I guess, aber hui.
300,000 is also just the base rate. Just trust me on this. The longer you stick with me, the more you'll come to understand your true value in the market.
Oh, Jesus.
I have to go make some preparations now. See you tomorrow.
Bis morgen.
I was never particularly close with Alkami when we were in school. Who would have thought that he'd be so nice and friendly? I've hosted free lectures before, but this would be my first time being hired to lecture for a formal business. 300,000 mora per lecture. Whew. I'm so excited that I'm starting to get nervous.
Ich komme auch.
Thanks so much.
Es
I
ist
think I will be
viel
able to
zu gut,
relax a
wahr
bit
zu
more
sein.
with a friend in the audience. Now, what should I talk about tomorrow? Some lessons I've learned over the past few years? I should probably save those for later. For my first lecture, I should start by getting them more interested in the field. All right, let's meet here again tomorrow morning. I should hurry home and create some kind of lesson plan. If I'm going to become an instructor, I should make sure I show up prepared.
Ja, okay. Das heißt, wir treffen uns dann bei der Ausbildungsstätte. Warte bis morgen früh nach 7. Okay. Hier bis 7. So. Okay, nächster Tag. Hier. Geht dorthin, wo sich die Ausbildungsstätte befindet. Angekommen? Ja, direkt hier. Okay.
Oh, I didn't expect you two to get here so early.
I was up last night preparing for the lecture, but I ended up getting so excited that I couldn't fall asleep. Here, I've prepared a lesson plan. Do you want to take a look?
Lesson plan? I must commend you for your dedication. But the training center has already developed its own set of teaching materials. Instead of using your own plan, you can just use what we have here. Of course, you're always welcome to work in some of your own content to add some fun and flavor.
Okay, darf ich einen Blick auf dein Material werfen?
Sure, be my guest.
Das Lehrmaterial deckt ein breites Spektrum akademischer Wissens ab. Nicht scheint auf den ersten Blick
It's
ungewicht zu
almost
sein.
time for the lecture to start. Feel free to head in and start the class whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Huh. So you've already developed your own set of teaching materials. Seems like I won't need the stuff I've prepared after all. Anyway, shouldn't be a problem. I'll just go ahead and use your materials.
Du kannst ja eine andere
There's
Folge
something else
nutzen.
I want to ask, though. This isn't going to be a large class, is it?
Wahrscheinlich
Ah,
20.
no need to stress. There are only 20 people
Voilà.
in this class.
Ich wusste es.
There are 14 classes at my training center. Out of all of them, the first class has the best grades, so I've directed them to you. We'll see how well they take to your lectures.
20 people, huh? All right. I think I can handle that.
Oh, and one last thing. In the interest of keeping a quiet learning space, only instructors and students are allowed in the classroom when class is in session.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say this, but your friend will have to wait outside while you teach the class.
Kein Problem. Ich möchte sowieso einen Spaziergang in der Nähe haben.
Sorry about that. I'll meet you at the door when the class is over then.
Ja, kein Problem. Also sag mir wirklich so nett, wie er aussieht. Ich sollte mich mal umhören. Ja, weil ich finde, es ist einfach viel zu gut, um wahr zu sein. So, Adon?
Hey there. Can I help you?
Kennst du Alkami?
Oh, Alkami? You mean that rich guy who's been making quite the name for himself? Yeah, he commissioned a set of furniture from me a while back. Paid a great deal of Mora for it, too. I heard he earned a fortune working as a renowned architect. Now he's opened a training center so others can follow in his footsteps. If the tuition wasn't sky high, I'd enroll my child in a heartbeat. Architecture really sounds like a lucrative profession.
Studiengebühren? Du kannst auch einfach hier in die Ausbildung stellen. Oder meint er im Sinn von für die Akademie?
Did
Dann
you
ja.
hear? Alkami recruited Kaveh to be an instructor.
I bet that'll boost his enrollment numbers.
Really makes you jealous, eh? If you think about it, Alkami was never that talented himself as an architect. If we're just talking about professional skill, no one would pay for a class with him.
That's true, but you've got to admit, his advertisements are really effective. After all, the academia only admits those that can pass its entrance exam. So only a few people could hope to study architecture in the halls of the Kasharwar. For those who can't pass the exam, or who just want to jump straight into the industry, the training center is the best bang for the Mora.
Man, to have that kind of business acumen.
Das heißt, er hat nie Dings. Es dauert nicht lange, bis Kavehs Unterricht zu Ende war. Das heißt, er hatte nie wirklich eine Position.
All right, everyone. There's no need to be nervous. Class is over, so we can just chat for a bit. I shouldn't have lost my temper during the lecture. Did I scare anybody?
No, you weren't scary at all, Mr. Kaveh. We were just a bit lost and didn't get what you were talking about.
Ist etwas passiert?
Oh, don't get me started. I was trying to use Alkami's materials, so I flipped through some pages and gave them a closer look. The more I read, the more upset I became. Alkami may fool an amateur, but he can't fool anyone who's active in our profession. The materials he made are completely useless for teaching real architecture.
Warum sagst du das?
In my opinion, the most important skill of an architect is their ability to craft a design. In other words, they must be able to conceptualize ideas. There are tens of thousands of buildings in the world, as well as a countless number of architectural styles. Some designs emphasize aesthetics, while others prioritize practicality. The architects who can critically evaluate the quality and fit of different designs are those who can come up with great designs of their own. But you won't get any of that from the teaching materials they're using here. All these students are doing in class is rote memorization of existing designs. They are learning nothing about the underlying principles.
Oh boy.
How can they expect to become real architects? When they're done with this class, all they'll become are dilettantes with a pitiful smattering of architectural knowledge.
Ja, voilà.
But Mr. Kaveh, we didn't really understand anything you said after you threw away the materials either. What's the big deal anyway? It's not like we're looking to make some works of art. We just want to make some Mora.
You're studying architecture to make Mora?
Das ist, glaube ich, nicht die richtige Branche dann.
Why else would we be studying here? My biggest dream is to become someone like Mr. Alkami. Once I finally make my fortune in architecture, I'll be able to buy anything I like.
In that case, I'm afraid you'll probably be disappointed. The reality is that the work of an architect is very difficult, and the pay is not lucrative at all. Believe me, I'm a perfect example.
Ja, das ist wahr.
But how? Mr. Alkami just told us last night that you made a killing by building the palace of Alcazarzare. He also said that as long as we graduate from his class, waves upon waves of people will reach out to us with private commissions, and we can just sit back and wait for Mora to fill up our pockets.
Ja, so
It
einfach ist
won't
es
be
nicht.
long before I can put these miserable days behind me.
Come on. And you all believed everything he said?
But Mr. Alkami is really rich, isn't he?
You... It's pointless trying to argue this with you right now. You've already filled your heads with pipe dreams. Let's go, traveler. Let's hear about Alkami's true plans from the man himself.
Oh boy. Das klingt ja wirklich supi. Geh und konfrontiere Alkami mit Kaveh. Wie gesagt, viel zu gut, um wahr zu sein. Und das, ja, haben wir jetzt gemerkt.
What's wrong, Kaveh? You look quite flustered. Were the students not astute enough for your liking? I must implore you to go a bit easier on them. After all, they're nothing like the genius scholars you're used to dealing with at the academia. We don't need to strive for perfect understanding. As long as some knowledge has been passed on, that's good enough.
Yeah, I'm mad at them. But I'm even more upset that you're scamming people under the guise of teaching them about architecture. The students are all here hoping for a quick way to make money. But we both know that an architect's life is hard and exhausting. Just a little while ago, I was toiling over the 6th draft of a design for a client. If your client is unhappy, you can't break ground, and the longer a project goes, the longer it takes for you to get paid in full. What's worse, if your client disappears in the middle of a project, good luck getting anything from them ever again. You know all of this just as well as I do. Why lie to them?
Look, Kaveh, you may be the light of Ksharawar, but like I said, you still have a lot to learn about making Mora. You may deny it all you want, but it's a fact that in today's Sumeru, architecture is a terrible profession.
Oh boy.
Our clients care very little for the effort we pour into our designs. Instead of appreciating us, they spend all their time nitpicking details and demanding changes, often forcing all kinds of ridiculous ideas onto us.
I suppose that's more or less true. Go on.
Why should we cling on to a profession that's difficult and unrewarding? If the field is dying, then a person who still wants to make a good living will just have to change their strategy. If it's near impossible to make money as an architect, then why not just establish a training center and train other people to become architects in our stead?
Ja, war richtiger dran.
Wait, how does that make any sense? Aren't you just leading them into the same trap?
We are already stuck, my friend. The more people we can lead into this pit and stack as padding beneath our feet, the more comfortable our lives will be.
Das heißt, dein Vermögen hast du in der Tat mit diesen Lernenden verdient.
That's right. Making money as an architect is a slow and agonizing process. In comparison, earning tuition from a training center is far easier.
Oh no.
None of the students will ever know, however. In their eyes, all of my income was earned during my years as an architect. It's easy for them to fall for my promise.
Außer für die...
After all, everyone wants to live the dream of being the person who can spend millions without batting an eye.
Das war so mit der
The more
Ausbildungsstätte.
students I get, the more money I earn. And the more real that dream becomes.
And then what? Once they graduate, they'll still find out the truth about architecture and struggle to stay afloat amid all the problems we already talked about.
Ja.
When that happens, your facade will pop like a soap bubble. No one will believe you anymore.
Da bis dahin ist wahrscheinlich
But
genug
that's
gemacht.
just one way to look at the problem. No two people have the same amount of talent. Even if they fail to strike gold in the future, you can't say that it's my fault and mine. Oh, and
Oops.
also, I never actually promised that they would achieve financial freedom as long as they become architects. All I did was nudge them towards that belief. I'm not even scared if they do come back and stir up trouble. My training center has all the required permits and certifications. Even the Dendro Archon herself couldn't find fault in any part of my
Oh nein,
business.
nein, der taucht jetzt auf.
How can you sleep at night knowing that you're doing all this? Tell me, is your heart carved out of brick and stone? I can't believe that I once saw you as a decent human being. I am beyond disappointed in you.
And the same goes to you. How many years has it been since you graduated from the academia? If you still can't accept something like this, do you just plan on keeping that worthless naivete of yours until the end of time? Only fools will see art as revered and sacred. In the end, Art is just another business. Being successful at running a business is an art form in itself.
Hm.
I urge you to think about what I've said. Offloading your pain onto others is the only way a person can live comfortably in this world.
Weil man kein Herz
As
hat,
the
ja.
light of Sharawa, you've accumulated plenty of fame
Naja.
and respect.
Im Normalfall.
It's high time that you use those resources to improve the circumstances of your own life. Think it over, Kaveh. I still believe our collaboration could be very fruitful.
Ist bereits weg.
I'm so mad, I feel a headache coming on. There's nothing more I can say to him. I'll resign from my position as instructor.
Gibst du auf, Geld zu verdienen?
Of course. I'm sure you've realized that as long as I remained at this center, he would be able to use my name to advertise this place. Even if I just sit back and do nothing, others will be deceived and suffer because of me.
Mm.
He is right about one thing, though. These kinds of training centers are everywhere. And even if the academia was to find out about it, it's unlikely that they would take any real action against it. The most that they could accuse him of is false advertising. And even that would be hard to prove.
Das Ganze hat etwas Merkwürdiges.
Oh? Did you notice something else?
Nicht jeder kann sich solch hohe Kursgebühren leisten.
Yeah, you've got a point. The rate he gave me was 300,000 mora per lecture. That probably came out of the students' tuition. And who knows just how much he's been charging the students for attending his classes.
Gute Frage.
If you're gambling everything on making it rich as an architect, are you really going to have the mora to pay for that kind of tuition?
Wir können die Lernenden danach fragen.
Right. We should hurry. The students didn't believe a word I was telling them. They're still daydreaming about making millions. We're never going to get any information from them again if we let Alkami talk to them first. Let's move now before he's had the chance to react.
Okay, machen wir. Direkt los und finden wir raus, wie grausam er sie hier abzieht. Ja.
Oh, Mr. Kaveh? What are you doing back here?
Class finished a while ago, but you're still here. Why haven't you gone home?
I wanted to stay for a little longer. I'm still thinking about everything you taught during the class. Even though a lot of it went right over my head, I still thought the houses you drew were really pretty.
Of course they were. All the examples I drew were world-famous landmarks. Each one was the magnum opus of a celebrated architect. It's a good thing that you could recognize them for their beauty. The accumulation of knowledge is the first step to artistic expression. Instead of rote memorization, you should try to relate and to understand, and after that, try to resonate with the work.
Resonate?
Yes. When I first got into architecture, there were many things about it that I couldn't understand at all. I would find a building to be beautiful, but have no idea what made it so good. And for most people, just being able to admire a building is enough. To become a good architect, however, you must also learn to assess and appraise. Going from admiration to assessment will take a lot of time and specialized knowledge, and I'm afraid that some superficial speed training won't be enough to take you there.
Just as I thought. Becoming an architect won't be as easy as Mr. Alkami made it out to be, right?
Definitiv nicht. Zumal mit dem, was Kaveh uns
I'm
vorstellt.
sorry.
Also nicht. Ja.
I'm not trying to crush your
zeigt.
dreams. All I want to tell you is that an architect's life is not as carefree and easy as others may make it out to be.
I understand. Thank you for telling me the truth, Mr. Kaveh. I think I'll still stay here for the time being, though, since my family still hasn't paid everything off.
Paid off what?
Sorry, I can't say anything more. Mr. Alkami made it very clear that anyone who talks about it will be kicked out of the class.
Oh, das klingt gar nicht
Don't
gut.
listen to him. I am the most famous architect in Sumeru. If he kicks you out, then I'll just take you in instead.
No.
Really?
Why would I pull your leg? I can see you have some talent. So as long as you get your fundamentals down, you should be able to pass the entrance exam and continue your studies at the academia.
Then please keep this a secret for me, Mr. Kaveh. Truth be told, my family is not very well off, so we couldn't really afford the tuition for this class.
Mhm.
Mr. Alkami was the one who reached out to my parents. He told them that he knew a merchant by the name of Bahar and that we could get a loan from him.
Okay.
He told all the students that once we graduate, people would come flocking to commission us for projects. If everything went well, we'd be able to pay off everything in just a few years, and all the more we make after that would be ours.
Okay.
How much did your family borrow from this merchant?
I think it was several million mora.
Was?
And what was the interest rate?
I'm not really sure. My parents were the ones who signed the contract. All I know is that the stack of papers was as thick as a slab of rock.
Oh boy. Irgendwas hört sich bei dem allen nicht richtig an.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling too. Something about the whole thing feels dastardly familiar.
Oh
We
no.
need to find that merchant to confirm. But if we were to confront him right now, there's no way he'd admit to anything.
Wir können vorgehen, potenzielle Kunden zu sein.
Good idea. Hey, tell me, do you know where we'd be able to find this merchant?
We last saw him on the north shore of Port Ormos. Who knows if he's still in that area, though.
Okay.
Well, it'd still be worth taking a look. Architecture... No. The arts shouldn't be used as bait for a scam. We need to do something before the students' lives are ruined even further.
Okay.